Marcus Greer was a quiet kid growing up in Queens, facing many challenges, including an absentee father and a drug-dealing mother, whose life was tragically cut short. Leading a life of drug dealing and violent crime puts Marcus in peril himself, and within moments from death. Will Marcus in fact get rich or die trying? Welcome to Hip Hop Movie Club. This is a show for Gen X hip hop fans who want to relive the glory days and reconsider classic and modern hip hop films from a current day perspective. Together, we'll explore some of the larger societal issues raised in these films. Whether you have or have not seen Get Rich or Die Tryin before, we'll help you decide if you should take the time to watch it now. Either way, you'll be a smarter hip hop fan by the end of this episode. In the next 30 minutes or so, you'll get all this and more. We're three old heads who put their old heads together to vibe on these films for you. I'm Dino Wright, podcaster, filmmaker, longtime hip hop fan, and I'm a fan of 50 Cent's acting work in his vitamin water commercial with NBA legend Steve Nash.
I'm JB, 80s and 90s nostalgia junkie, longtime hip hop fan, and I did in fact own a pair of parachute pants back in the 80s. Those pants had no less than 10 zippers, I swear.
That's amazing.
I'm Boogie, a DJ, longtime hip hop fan, and I saw Curtis Blow and Sugar Hill Gang concert over the summer.
Nice.
In this episode, we'll answer the question, should you die trying to see this movie?
Get Rich or Die Tryin is a 2005 crime drama starring Curtis 50 Cent Jackson. With some autobiographical elements, it tells the story of the hardscrabble upbringing of Marcus Greer, navigating life marred by tragedy. He deals drugs from a young age, gets caught up in a life of violent crime, navigates his love life and rap game despite major setbacks. Let's get right into it. Marcus Greer is the main protagonist here, played by 50 Cent. What was Marcus's upbringing like? Such as, who were the major influences in his life? Boogie, want to kick us off with that?
Yeah, so in the beginning we see, Marcus had a tight bond with his mother, but he didn't know who his father was. And unfortunately, his mother was murdered while he was young, and he ended up staying with his grandparents. And it seemed like every family member that stayed with him. His mother used to spoil him a lot when she would, while she would go out and she sold drugs. But when she, she always bought him the latest sneakers or, his fresh clothes. But after he had to go stay with his grandparents, he got tired again of being laughed at and decided to sell drugs to buy them new sneakers. Later on down the line, he comes in contact with Marcus and Majestic, who was actually one of the local, I guess you would call him, he's an underboss because he wasn't the big boss, as we find out later on. But Majestic took Marcus in kind of almost like a father figure, but introduced him to the drug game on a different level, but and showed him the rules of how to hustle and everything like that. But as Marcus got older, he did kind of seem like he did seem to reconcile with his grandparents. So his grandparents were still around to a certain extent, and then he found his long lost friend in Charlene, and they developed a love relationship. Luckily, she probably was the best thing that happened to him in the movie, because if she wouldn't have, kind of kept him going, who knows what he would have spiraled out of control. But then there was a Levar Cahill, who was the main boss of the whole circuit, who actually took a liking to Marcus, but through Majestic's sneakiness, got him put away for a long time. But I think the major influence, I would probably say, unfortunately, Majestic was a major influence in his life. His grandparents were somewhat there as were there when he was younger, and were somewhat there when he got older. Charlene was definitely a strong influence as she developed. They developed their relationship, and she became pregnant with Marcus's child. That kind of gave him a little bit more focus in life as well. But other than that, most people in there were trying to, be cliche, get rich or die trying.
Yeah, I think you covered it really well. mother was dealing drugs, and he would see this firsthand. We see this in some of these movies where, as a young child, they're exposed to this life of crime, and they think that that's their only way out. And especially not having both parents out of the picture, unfortunately, leaves him on his own. He was dealing drugs from the age of 12. It looked like something real young, and he was getting into fights because it was very territorial, as we see. So it's just a hard scrabble upbringing. Anything else to add on that, Donna Wright?
It's kind of we've seen this kind of story before. Hard scrabble upbringing. He loves rap music, and so that's a dream he has, or the protagonist has. So it really wasn't as... I didn't think it was all of that interesting. Like we've seen it so many times, but the angle of the mother being the drug dealer, and she was actually kind of a strong influence, like a positive influence in his life. He's just had a weird job of being a drug dealer. That was kind of nice. There was like real love there, and it's just too bad she didn't live that long to see him like get out of the struggle there.
Yeah, there was like that one line, I think, when she was telling him, she's like, promise me that you're going to treat girls, you're going to treat them right. You're going to do right by them.
Yeah.
To hear that coming from the mother, no matter what he does throughout his life, that's always got to sit in the back of his head to a certain extent, especially coming from his mother.
Yeah, it's a perfect segue of treating women right. So let's talk about his love interest, Charlene, that you referenced before, Boogie. I'll kind of give the background. Mm-hmm. Charlene was Marcus's really good childhood friend. They spent a lot of time together. When he said, "Can I go out and play?" He would go over and go to her house, and they would play child games. So he was really close with her. And in fact, he started rapping about her, and he had that song "Best Friend" that he put on a cassette. And it did have some suggestive lyrics that he didn't really know what it all meant at the time. And her parents, I think, had heard it. She was sent off to move and live with her step-parents. So, and then, as you mentioned, they reunite several years later. They're both grown up, and he's living the thug life while he's trying to break into the music industry. And, she was, I think, teaching dance classes and trying to do her own thing, and then they reconnect, and it was nice to see them reconnect. And then she's trying to comprehend, like, what do you do for a living? What do you do? He's like, I'm a gangster. He said, what? I'm a rapper. I'm a gangster rapper.
That was kind of funny.
Yeah, that was a kind of funny piece. Yeah, I did like the character of Charlene.
Yeah, she provides a nice moral counterweight to his life of crime. I didn't appreciate, and this is not uncommon, but the girl gets in trouble for the man's advances, and so she got sent away because like a boy liked her. I mean, that's I know it's just a story, but there's this sort of there's a misogyny that's kind of packaged in this story somewhere, and it's it also serves the story that she has to go away and then they come back for this nice reunion. But yeah, that part was like, I don't know if this actually happened or not. I mean, I don't know that we'll talk about this, but what parts are real and fictitious as opposed to in relation to 50 Cent's actual life.
Right. So like you said, like, he makes the song suggestively, and at some point you got to realize that, hey, this is our daughter. We told her right from wrong. Like, you would want to have faith in your parenting skills.
Yeah.
They just, no, but you got to go away. That was like, huh?
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
She didn't do anything wrong.
She did nothing.
She did nothing wrong. I'm sure, like, they've seen worse things on the street or heard worse things in the neighborhood.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But yeah, it was something that you kind of have a conversation about. Maybe you come over to the house, speak to the grandparents or whatever, and say,
Teachable moment.
yeah, teachable moment, right? But
Exactly.
Yeah.
it's just, they sent away. So that was kind of interesting.
Instead, you have a plot contrivance.
There you go.
Right, and it wasn't like it was just Marcus and Charlene hanging out. It was like Marcus, Charlene, Antoine was there. Like there was a couple other kids that you don't see as they get older, but Antoine was one of the kids. Like they were all hanging out. It was a group of them. She just happened to be the one girl in the group. So she was probably a tomboy.
Yeah.
True. Yeah.
They just missed out on a great teachable moment.
But
I really enjoyed her performance. Joy Bryant was very good in this.
Yeah, she's a gem. She's a gem. Everything I've seen her in, even if it's a minor role, she's been really good.
How did Marcus become a rap star? How did he develop his rap game? I know early on he had bars since he was a child. He was writing, and there was a scene early on with his mother. She heard him rapping at like 3 a.m. She's like, Marcus, it's 3 a.m. Oh, I didn't realize that. And when he ultimately gets imprisoned, he takes it to a new level because he has that time, and that kind of kept him sane. But how do you both see his development into becoming a rap star?
So there was one funny scene that made me laugh. It was when after he decided to not stay with the grandparents anymore, and he went and got that place by himself. He said, and now I got my own place, and now I can focus on becoming a rapper. And he sits down, and he starts trying to get through the one line. Okay. And he starts over, he tries to get through the one line again. And then he pauses, like, dang, I should have wrote that down. He's like, well, I'm hungry. I guess I'm my rap tired of being a rapper tonical to make this money. It's like
yeah, he's like, I'm done with this rap thing. I'm going to go back to just selling drugs full time.
It was like the shortest rap career ever. It's like an hour. Oh man!
Other people that reviewed this movie have talked about how there's not enough about his progression as a rapper, and there's too much about the crime stuff. And I agree. You know, he went from this life to a rapper's successful life, and you don't really see all that much of it. And you see some of it, you see pieces of it. I wish I saw more of it because that was interesting to me. Like we had seen in Hustle and Flow, like we always saw DJ working on his stuff.
Right.
You know,
it's true. It's another rags to riches story.
Yeah,
and so dramatic, in fact, that he was on the verge of death when he got shot 9 times. There's this duel with the Colombian gang, and they just always shooting up each other. But in this case, it was a hit that was out from Majestic's crew that he was ambushed. But I think that the thing about the rap game, which makes it so impressive, he was shot in the face, and he had a bullet in the tongue, and he ends up having a slurred type of speech. And that is something that's unique to his style and flow. And if you remember when he was rehabbing, he actually moved out to the Poconos in real life, and I think out to the mountains, and Charlene was helping him, barely can walk and couldn't talk. And then when he can finally get on the microphone, his speech is slurred. But as he got better from it, it was a unique style. So it's something unique, interesting, where you're like, if someone didn't know the backstory and you hear 50 Cent's style, like, man, he doesn't really enunciate. He's got an interesting flow, but now we kind of know the backstory.
I think the one good thing too, when they showed his progression, like you said, they hinted at little bits of the progression, was Bama's character.
Our man Terrence Howard, yeah,
Terrence Howard. He was in jail, and like it was mere coincidence that they just happened to be in the shower at the same time when there was apparent hit on Marcus, and Bama was just there and said, "Okay, I guess I might try to help this guy." I didn't even know him, and intervene and started fighting off the guys and ended up getting a pretty severe beatdown from the corrections officers. And then they met. They laying on the floor, hands behind their back, cuffed, and they just introducing themselves like, "Hey man, you saved my life." He's like, "Yeah, well, you look like you might have needed a little bit of saving." But when Marcus gets put in, it looks like he might have been in solitary confinement because he's in there. You don't see anybody else interacting with him, and he starts kind of scratching. Looks like might have been scratching lyrics into the wall. And he's like, if I didn't express myself, I might have took my own life in there.
Yeah.
And then he's decided from that point on that he was going to start focusing on telling the truth and not letting anybody stand in his way of saying what was the truth. And Bama kind of started catching on to him and saying, "Hey, this guy's got something. Let me see if I can try to keep him focused by becoming his manager." And Bama got out, and when Marcus got out, they went right to it. And you see clips of Bama, going up into the clubs with the record, like, "Hey, you might want to play this. Put this on, try to play this." And they was hustling out of the trunk or out of the bag on the streets, like real boots to concrete. And I was like, wow, that was kind of dope. But that's very similar to what we saw in Hustle and Flow while DJ was locked up. That correlation between the two movies. Coincidentally, you have DJ in Hustle and Flow. Bama is doing the same thing in this movie. So it was like, oh wow, look at that.
Oh, the funny line when he said his name was Bama. Did you catch that when he laid down? Are you from Alabama? Is that why you call him? He's like, no, I'm from Carolina. Why do you call Bama? I didn't want to be called Lina or something like that. I'm like,
that seems so like out there that it has to be true.
Yeah,
I wonder if this is part of the true stuff.
So I don't know. I mean, we'll get to what's true and what's not, or what we've heard. I don't even know if the character of Bama is true or not. I couldn't really find that or not. If like his manager came out.
I feel like that we would have known if that was a real thing.
Yeah, probably. So that was probably fabricated.
Maybe that was written for the story, for the movie.
Probably. Yeah. So I was going to ask next, what was the dynamic between Majestic and Marcus? I know, Boogie, you already touched on that towards the beginning, whereas, Majestic was LeVar's right-hand man, kind of underling to the big kingpin LeVar. And he mentored Marcus a bit, but then, he turns really heel because he's greedy and wants to run the whole empire.
He was a bit of a snake. I mean, even just the fact that we find out down the road that he was actually the one who murdered Marcus's mother, out of jealousy. But just the fact that he knew the whole time, knowing that who he was and what he did, just trying to string Marcus along. And I think the reason why he was so into Marcus is because Marcus has such a strong work ethic, where him and his crew were really just about making money upon making money upon making money, and they were really good at it. Had they been mediocre or even a poorly performing crew, I'm pretty sure Majestic wouldn't have had such a strong hold to them. But he knew they were making him a lot of money, so he was just trying to ride the wave, for lack of a better word.
Yeah. So I guess this could take us into the question of how much of Marcus's story was true to life, of 50 Cent's story in real life. And let me just twist that back with Majestic, who we were just talking about. I don't know if you guys had looked it up or read, but that's supposed to be based on Kenneth Supreme McGriff, who was a New York drug lord suspected of being, he was the one suspected to be involved with the murder of Jam Master Jay, shooting.
Okay.
The shooting of Jam Master Jay. In fact, I think it was 50 Cent had put some lyrics about McGriff in some of his songs, implicating him in some crimes and stuff like that. So that's why there was that beef. And also the rapper that was under McGriff's crew, or Majestic's crew was called Dangerous, and that was actually supposed to be Ja Rule, from what I read. So he didn't look like him or sound like him, but do you remember the comment in the movie where he says, where 50 Cent or his character says, I got shut up 9 times and he's got these number 1 hits, and it was Dangerous on the radio? That was really Ja Rule, because Ja Rule kept coming out with hit after hit while he was laid up with his injuries from the shooting. So that was the parallel. Yeah, Majestic was. Yeah. Majestic was McGriff and Dangerous was actually Ja Rule. So in terms of what is real and what's fictitious in the movie, I was joking earlier. It's like, I kept wanting to call him Curtis because his name's Curtis Jackson in real life, 50 Cent, but it's Marcus. So there was, I found out that there was an interview that 50 Cent did with Conan O'Brien shortly after the film came out. And he said that the film was about 75% accurate.
Yeah, I read that too.
Yeah, about 25% was made up for the movie. I did watch it on the DVD, and they had some behind-the-scenes footage and interviews. And the producer of the film was an Irishman named Jim Sheridan.
The director.
The director.
Yeah.
And he gave a lot of insight into it. He mentioned Ja Rule by name. And he also mentioned him and 50 became really close on the filming. 50 Cent said that his mother was actually killed by somebody putting something in her drink and then turning on the gas. So it wasn't that her body was burned at the stake, but it was still nefarious in nature. And also that he was shot in broad daylight and was actually in the car, whereas in the movie, he was, I guess, trying near his car or taking something out of the trunk.
Behind his car.
Yeah. And he was shooting back and trying to shoot back, but in real life, he was just ambushed in the car. But yeah, it partially autobiographical.
That's good stuff.
Yeah, it was interesting to see. But you do get a sense overall, if you know nothing about 50 Cent, and go in the movie, you see all the trauma that he goes through as a child. And yeah, I mean, he's no angel. He's shooting up folks and dodging bullets, and he got tagged, and tough road to hoe. I thought this was a funny tidbit. I was reading Roger Ebert's official review, and he said, about the title, Get Rich or Die Trying. He said, and I quote, he goes, Get Rich or Die Trying offers a limited range of choices, but we'll probably never see a film called Get By and Don't Die. I just thought that was funny. I was like, get rich or die trying. I was like, there can't be anything in the middle. Like, what if I don't really obtain the riches? And I don't want to have to die in pursuit of my wealth. It's like, can I just make a living and be middle class,
And get moderately wealthy.
Yeah.
Somewhat rich.
Right.
Live a long life.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're talking about folks like us, you have like a corporate job or work in academia or something like that. Okay, it doesn't relate to this.
It doesn't
it doesn't equate. You can't compare because Marcus and Curtis Jackson, 50 Cent, they grew up in these circumstances, and that seemed like the only way out. But it is an extreme, one or the other, get rich or die trying. But it's like a lot of folks in these circumstances, it's kind of like what he did say. It's like, get by, don't die. Like, just survive.
Ebert also says the more accurate title might have been, I got rich, but just about everyone else died trying, and so did I, almost.
Yeah. It kind of reminded me of, was it Menace to Society that we covered recently? And it was Charles S. Tutton's character was saying, just survive, right?
Yeah.
Like, don't get caught up in this. And like, you almost wish that Marcus had a guardian like that conveyed that message. He did have grandparents that were helpful, but like a sage advice, something like that. Although it didn't really help out. The protagonist, Kane, in Menace to Society, but still, it's that voice that he hears. And when you're talking about get rich or die trying, it's more or less, he was saying, just survive. As a young black male, you have a target on your back and you're up against it, and you don't want to follow that path.
Yeah, instead, we have Majestic, showing everyone how to cook crack, and telling everyone that this is going to get us out of the ghetto.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know about that, buddy. I don't know about that.
Didn't exactly escape from the ghetto.
Again, that's a similarity to like New Jack City. If you throw back to that,
Yeah.
it's like there's the form of cocaine that's out there on the street, and everybody's got the powder, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh wow, this crack is like it's like candy to everybody, and it's like this is a game changer.
Yep.
Easier to sell, more attractive to the buyers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can spread your cocaine out and not have to give it all at once. You can spread it out and sell more of it.
Right. So let's talk, like we do in most episodes, about the soundtrack. Obviously, a lot of 50 Cent on here. When It Rains, It Pours. I like that track. I had heard that before, but it reminded me how good that one was. Hustler's Ambition. That's the song that plays, I think, at the end.
After he does that at the climax.
End. Yeah. On the stage, yeah. Mm-hmm. Window Shopper was in there. Yep. So there's some songs that they played actually in the movie, like old school songs that aren't really credited on the soundtrack. They're not on the soundtrack. But remember when he was in the car with his mom and they played "I Can't Live Without My Radio" by LL Cool J?
Mm-hmm.
I was loving hearing that. There was another. They may have played a Beastie Boys song or something earlier on.
Yeah.
Did they play "Fight for Your Right to Party" or something?
Yeah, one of the scenes.
Yeah. So there was
one of the exterior scenes. Yep.
Yeah. So how do you say it? Mise en scene. It puts you back in the 80s when he's growing up. Because I looked, he's around our age.
Yeah.
So it was true to form with what was popular back then. And Best Friend is actually a song that he produced. You guys have probably heard that one. Yeah, so he actually did put that track out there.
Yep.
I think the female is Olivia that he performs it with.
Yeah,
in real life.
Sounds right. Yeah.
So I was actually wondering to myself, and maybe this wasn't the point of the story, is if you think about, because it's not totally autobiographical. I was waiting to see where the influence of like Eminem and Dr. Dre were influential in putting him more so on the map. They kind of discovered him and brought him into Interscope Records, and that was in there. And then, In the Club was his huge hit. Those aspects weren't covered in the film, but again, it's probably because this was not totally the 50 Cent story.
Not the totally 50 Cent story, and once you get to that point, it's kind of not that interesting. Like, oh, Eminem and Dre help him,
right?
And it's like, so what? A lot of movies do this. Like, they only take you so far.
Yeah, that's true.
And then you kind of catch up to the rest of it. I know we covered a movie that happened in. I want to say it was maybe it was Straight Outta Compton, but it was something like that where they don't really show you the entire progression. And the interesting part, I thought, that would have been, and I don't know how you would do this in the movie, but Grandmaster Caz is very influential in getting his career going before he gets to Eminem and Dre. And, this connection with Kenneth McGriff, possibly being the one that got Jay is, I feel like that'd be interesting. But then again, it's not really 50 Cent's story. This is like based on his life and not actually his life. So
right.
Yeah. I had the same kind of like, I wonder what they would have done if they had mentioned Eminem and stuff like that in this film.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe they saved that for part 2 if there was going to be a part 2.
He got rich.
Yeah. I'm still rich.
Yeah, McGriff is still serving a life sentence. So there were other folks that he was hired to murder, apparently. So he was said to have had a hand in Grandmaster Caz's death, but I don't know if that was an allegation still, but there were other folks that he was charged with murder. And federal authorities did accuse him in connection with the attempted murder of 50 Cent. So, And then he did have ties to Murder Inc., which was the crew that Ja Rule had run with. I would say Majestic is based on his character. Interesting stuff. Learn a lot watching these films, which is I enjoy doing this with you guys.
Right on.
Yeah, that's what it's all about.
So there were a couple familiar faces in this movie from movies that we've reviewed. So our man Mark John Jeffries,
Yes.
who played a young Marcus, in this movie, also played Lil C's in Notorious,
Yes.
and he also played a young Dre in Brown Sugar.
Yes, that's right. I forgot about that. Yes. I was like, I know this kid from somewhere.
Yeah,
I didn't look deep enough into his filmography,
Yeah,
but
nice.
yes.
yeah. Then we had Omar Benson Miller, who played Curl in
Mhm.
Marcus's crew,
Mm-hmm.
played Soul George in 8 Mile.
Yep.
B Rabbit's boys.
Yep.
Yeah, I was like, wow, look at that. And of course, we mentioned, Terrence Howard playing Bama. Was our man DJ in Hustle and Flow. Who else did I come across? Oh, yes. An uncredited appearance by McKelty Williamson, who
Oh,
played
right.
Charlene's stepfather, was Uncle George in ATL.
Yes, that's right.
Or his most famous role would be Bubba from Forrest Gump.
Yes, of course. Yes.
I don't think who else did I catch? I think that might
We've
be
done one or two Bill Duke movies before.
Oh yes, Bill Duke. Yes,
Lamar, yeah.
yes. Bill Duke. But he was the cop in Menace Society. That actually had Kane in the interrogation room.
Oh, that's right.
You know he
Yeah.
messed up, right?
Yeah.
That famous meme.
Yes.
He messed up, right?
He's so good.
Mm-hmm.
I use that one all the time. Let's see.
We got Leon.
Oh yeah, Leon. Leon was in. What was Leon in that we reviewed?
Above the rim, for sure.
Yeah.
The rim. Yes.
He was a baller. Yeah.
Yes. Corduroy pants.
That's right.
Corduroy pants. He looked like a fisherman. Looked like the Gordon's fisherman.
Long short fisherman draining threes, coming off the bench, instant offense.
Yes. I forget. How can I forget about that one? But that was a good cast. A lot of familiar faces. He had a great Viola Davis.
Yes, that's right.
Who actually played Viola Greer.
Yeah.
They didn't say her name, but I'm like, oh, Viola Greer, grandma, and my man Sullivan Walker, who played Grandpa, who played one of my favorite Huxtable Cosby Show characters. I forgot his name. He was a doctor that worked with Cliff Huxtable. He would come over and play Patonk in the backyard with him. So I remember him. No, Joy Bryant's always a star. I mean, whatever she's in. Majestic, Adewale Okonuye, he's good too. I've seen him a bunch.
He's very good.
He's a great actor. Yeah,
Mhm.
and the way he's able to turn his accent on and off through different roles is amazing because he didn't even have one in this movie. It's like wow.
Nope. Yep.
Yeah, he's good. He's really good. It was a good cast. Everybody. I mean, I don't think there's a cinematic masterpiece, but it was very entertaining to watch. And I think everyone who performed, pretty good job.
Yeah, directed by Jim Sheridan, who also did like Daniel Day-Lewis movies, like My Left Foot and The Name of the Father, like big deal movies, and he's got 50 Cent in another movie.
Yeah, and he, I was reading that they originally hired an acting coach for 50 Cent because he had never acted, and then they said, we don't need you anymore. I think he's good. He's got that charisma, and Jim Sheridan said, if you don't look good at this, it's my fault. I didn't direct you well enough. He just took it onto himself to make sure it was successful. They did a good job.
I think they should have kept the acting coach. I mean, he's okay. He's okay.
Yeah.
But there was some scenes where I thought, it just didn't work. And I think that some of my criticisms of the movie is like, man, you see Terrence Howard just chew up scenes, and he doesn't really show up until the end. Like, he's in the beginning, but then he doesn't really show up until near the end. It's like, oh, this is what skilled, experienced actors could do. And I even read that Samuel L. Jackson, they asked him to be in this movie, and he wouldn't do it because he was afraid of being in a film with someone who was, inexperienced like that. Then they would run a movie later on, but
there were also protests about this film, I think, because some people thought it glorified the violent crime.
Yeah.
I don't think it glorified it at all.
No,
I don't think it did. Yeah, that was probably unjustified, but there were protests nonetheless.
Yeah, people just get on. I want to say up in arms about it, but
yeah, I mean, the movies have a rating for a reason, right? Rated R for violence.
Right.
You understand what you're getting into,
and it was pretty violent. Definitely violent.
So one thing about the movie that I wasn't. I don't know if I can't say I didn't like it, but I think it moved a little too quickly. Was the end? I think the way the movie ended was it just kind of rushed through a little bit.
Yeah.
So you see the scene where they're at Pelham Hall, ready to perform, and Majestic walks in and wants to talk with him, and then like that whole they tussle, and then Marcus gets the upper hand, and as he's walking out, he runs behind him, and Bama shoots him, and it's like, wow, that's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he walks out on stage and just takes off his bulletproof vest, like, all right. Like, I don't know if I believe that would happen like that. Because all right, you look at Majestic, he wasn't by himself.
Mm-hmm.
And so he walks in with all of these with his entourage. He gets shot, and that's it. Like nobody.
Yeah, nothing. No, like
not even a peep.
Knockdown, drag out.
Right, not even an
entire battle royale.
Mm.
Yeah.
No, nobody throw another punch or nothing. Everybody just kind of stood around and watched. Or was it that Majestic was that bad of a boss that people just didn't care about it?
Yeah, we're like,
you know what? He deserved it.
They turned on.
Yeah.
What was coming to him?
He's like, what do you mean we?
We saw what he did to Odell, and our stomach turned.
Right. Yeah. He could come turn on us too.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, one of the criticisms I read about this movie, that it does seem uneven. Like sometimes it goes too slow and sometimes it goes too fast, and so I could see that. I kind of agree. It's sort of just fast forward to the end where now he's a performer.
Yeah, he's out on stage. Like you almost got killed, and now you're performing.
It's just like clean up on aisle 5. I'm out here.
Your manager just shot.
Remove this, please.
The manager just killed the biggest guy in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Like, what's going to happen now? Like, you're gonna and that's definitely not the time to be walking out without a vest on because you don't know what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I guess, I don't know.
Interesting choices.
Yeah, but other than that, I was like, okay. Some of the other stuff, regardless of how it went down, I kind of could believe it either way. Yeah, I guess that could kind of happen. Yeah, I guess that could happen. When I saw that part, I was like, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know about that.
So I had a similar criticism, if you recall, of Menace to Society ending. So much happened in the last 10 minutes. It was like they were tying up loose ends. It's like this fight scene and this retaliation and the everything comes to a head so quickly after. And it's like sometimes they try to fit scenes to the script and it's a little uneven, like you said.
Overall, I definitely, I'll say this. I refused, when this movie came out, I refused to watch it. I was just like, yeah, I'm done. I have no desire to watch it. Because at the time he was trolling everybody, and I was just like, I'm good. I don't need to hear about you getting shot, and I don't need to see it on film either.
Yeah.
But after watching this, I would definitely say that I probably should have watched it when it came out. And I definitely enjoyed it more than I thought I would. And I probably will watch it again.
So we go to our ratings then. So you would say bring that funky flick back?
Bring that funky flick back?
Or leave it in the vault?
Yeah, I'd bring that funky flick back because there was aspects of it that I definitely found entertaining. And like I like these kind of movies for some odd reason, even though I have no desire to join that lifestyle or that and be out there like that. I just like watching them. I don't know why.
Yeah, it's easier to watch them instead of actually being in them.
Yeah. How about you, Die Tryin? Bring that funky flick back or leave it in the vault?
This was a tough one. I'm right on the edge, and as flawed and as much as I thought, this story wasn't all that compelling, I'm going to bring this funky flick back because the performances are really good. Even 50 Cent in some spots was really good. I mean, he really did cry in the one scene, and that's good acting.
Yeah,
cry on demand.
They're cutting onions. Yes. I will also bring the funky flick back just because it is the origin story of 50 Cent, a rags to riches story. And even though it's not 100% autobiographical, it is really his story and his acting debut. Yep. Not without its flaws, but bring it back. It's something that true hip hop heads should see.
Mm-hmm. This 50 Cent movie is 75% accurate.
That's right.
Hip Hop Movie Club is produced by your HHMCs, JB, Boogie, and Dino Wright. Theme music by Boogie. Check us out on Facebook and Instagram at Hip Hop Movie Club. Shout out to you listeners. Thanks for tuning in.
And remember, don't hate, articulate.
Articulate. Don't slur your speech unless you have a bullet in your tongue. Bullet fragments in your tongue.
You don't have fragments in your tongue? No slurring.
Yeah. Don't mumblecore this.
50 Cent's name is actually from a gangster?
Yes.
Yeah, right. Named Calvin Martin. I didn't know that till I did some additional research on this one.
Same. Yeah. I like the idea. It's a metaphor for change.
Yeah,
it's not bad. Join us on Thursday, January 25th at SteelStacks in Bethlehem, PA at 7 p.m. for a special screening of hip-hop's first film, Wild Style, which will also include a Q&A panel discussion with the director Charlie Ahearn, Grandmaster Caz of the Cold Crush Brothers, and Grandmixer DXT. After the screening, stay for a special performance by the legendary DXT and the Cold Crush Brothers. Your HHMC's JB, Boogie, and me, Dino Wright, will be there, so come through. Free tickets are available at SteelStacks.org. This event is brought to you by 50 Years Down the Line, Northampton Community College, and ArtsQuest.